Nailed it. All right. Whew. Now my face is awake. Hello, Cinema Beeps.
Hey, Cinema Beeps.
Happy Tuesday.
Happy Tuesday.
Ooh,
it's an early Tuesday.
Yeah, it's too early. I think it's the earliest we've ever recorded.
I think so, yes.
New record for us.
Yes.
Earliest. And I think latest was like 9 p.m.
Yeah, I think so.
I'm pretty sure one time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Oh, man. Oh, but everyone, just check out the festivities Kendra already has. She's got her little plant decorated. She's got a little flash. I definitely was going to call him Zoom.
Zoom. I do have a Zoom. I think he's downstairs, actually. But, oh, that'd be so cute if it was a little Zoom with, like, a Santa hat on. Oh.
As he's murdering everyone.
Right?
Adorable.
Adorable.
But, yes, this is
down
all
to
about
business.
Dexter. Yeah,
yes.
all Dexter.
All Dexter, all day.
So I think it's 3 weeks now, maybe a little more. The new season, Dexter New Blood, has aired.
Yep.
I know we said we were going to try to watch more Dexter. I know you got farther than me.
Of, like, the original series?
Yeah, of, like, rewatching
Yeah,
it.
I think I got up to season 4.
Damn.
And then just kind of fell off the wagon because other shows were coming back on and, like, you know, life and stuff, so...
I guess.
I would still like to finish it because it's been literally, like, I think 10 years since I've seen the full series, like, front to back. Right. So, yeah, I would still like to at least finish season 4, for sure.
Oh, hell yeah.
Yeah, because Trinity.
Yeah, best.
Yeah.
And again, Brandon Routh. Courtney Ford is in that season.
Yes. Yes, it is. True.
7 connections. Yeah, I think I only got through halfway of season 2, maybe a little more of season 2. But I also finished the second book.
Right, yes.
Dearly Dexter. Dearly Devoted Dexter.
Dearly Devoted Dexter, yeah.
That's what it was called, yeah. I haven't got to the third book yet, but I'm making my way.
Nice. So how's the second book?
Oh, I really liked it.
Yeah?
I was also just curious because I think, as I mentioned last time, it kind of ends on this weird cliffhanger of how LaGuardia's the one who dies in the first book. And as far as we know, I don't know if his brother's still alive or if he's just out and about. Unfortunately, that did not get answered in this book. But I have a feeling I think he comes back maybe in later books.
Okay.
Potentially. Don't quote me, but I just have a feeling.
Cool.
But, yeah, so the second book is all about this. Again, it's very familiar to, like, an episode of Dexter or a season of Dexter where they highlight a killer and they obviously follow. So this killer, I remember the person who lent me the books was like, he's like, be prepared, it's gonna get graphic. And I was like, lol, I'll be fine. But then I was reading and I was like, oh yeah, I don't know how you would have done this for TV, like, at all. Like, this is, very intense. Yeah. But yeah, basically there's a serial killer going around, cutting off people's limbs, slitting off their eyelids. It's just, it is gross reading it. But kind of similar to kind of like season 2 of Dexter, even though that was the only one I was kind of able to finish. They do bring an FBI agent in.
Okay.
Who just sounds like the dirtiest man. But of course, Deborah falls for him. And I'm like, huh? Again, very reminiscent of season 2 where she falls for Lundy.
Right.
But this guy sounds nothing like Lundy. And I was like, ugh. But, yeah, basically the serial killers, I guess, targeting a certain group of like a war platoon that went into an area that did torture. And so this guy, I guess, the serial killer is a kind of like the doctor of the group who I guess got captured but left behind. Okay. So he's made his escape, so he's kind of getting his revenge on all of them. And of course, one of them actually happens to be Dokes. Sergeant Dokes was part of that platoon squad. Okay. And so at one point, again, this dirty FBI guy, Kyle, that's his name. Oh, Kyle. Okay. Who falls in love with Deborah, and they kind of have a weird relationship. It's gross, but whatever. He gets captured because, again, he's part of this platoon, coincidentally. And so they're trying to track him down. And luckily, I think through being able to target the van, because it had a certain sticker on it and a license plate, they were able to track him down. they were able to find him. Oh, no, sorry. I'm getting some details really confused. What happens is Dexter suggests using Sergeant Dokes as bait.
Okay.
So kind of like in the second TV show where Sergeant Dokes is following Dexter constantly. In the book, it's the same thing.
Okay.
So the first part of the book is just him kind of living this very mundane life, and Dexter kind of like, as he kind of puts it, is going, like his passenger starts kind of going to sleep just because like he's living this very mundane life with Rita and the kids. And he goes, do I like this? And he's like, I don't know. He goes, I've never pictured my life like this, but like, I don't think I like it. So then, you know, the hunger to do it is, you know, very strong, but Dokes is on his ass constantly. And then like in the show where he was using the excuse like, oh, I'm going to go do bowling.
Yeah, right.
He just keeps going to Rita's house, so that makes her very happy, obviously. She's like, oh, yay, we're having more time together. And he's just like, ugh. So then with this whole serial killer targeting those people, Dexter makes a suggestion of like, oh, Dokes should go up for bait. And of course, Dexter, you know, having his secret ulterior motives, like, oh, and if he happens to get caught, I get to be free again and do what I want.
Right.
So he's very
conniving.
Yes. Way more than I feel like Dexter in the show is.
Okay.
Or I feel like, right, he's trying to kill you know, in his mind, like as Harry's given him the code, like in his mind, he's only doing it to suffice the passenger.
Right.
And nothing more. Whereas I feel like Dexter in the books, like, really enjoys it. And, like, I think I said before, the Dark Passenger is almost, like, an entire entity on its own.
Yeah.
Kind of thing.
Yeah.
Sorry, slightly sidetracked.
It's okay. It's kind of cool, though, that, like, there are those contrasting differences. And obviously, like, just based off how you're explaining it through the book, it's sometimes you register it differently. It could be very well the same thing, or at least like the creators of the show tried as hard as they could to emulate that. But it's funny how some things like just read differently when you're reading them than they are watching them. And I'm sure it's at some point too they wanted to like maybe kind of make Dexter's character on the TV show more likable so you could root for him, because that's the tricky thing, right? Is like who wants to root for a serial killer? So if we make him a little more likable, a little more like vigilante kind of thing, then it's easier to digest as a viewer, right?
Yeah. And I mean, even in this, like, even in the books, he still follows Harry's code.
Yeah.
But yeah.
But like you said, like the Dark Passenger's more of its own separate entity, so it kind of gives more of that disturbing, dark, like gory kind of, like you're saying, it's very hard to it's a hard read kind of thing just because it's so whereas it's not as bad in the show, because obviously you gotta make it doable for TV, so.
Right. But, what was I even going? Right, so he puts Sergeant Dokes up as bait, but he does genuinely, like, I will not let anything happen to him, but, you know, he does get captured, but then he's able to track him, and then they find Kyle at this alligator farm, and again, he has, like, no leg, I think he's missing part of his arm, he's having a rough time. So then Deborah, you know, very desperately is like, Dexter, we need to find Sergeant Dokes now. Like, we need a win. And Dexter's kind of like, I don't actually really want to find him. He's making my life really fucking miserable.
Yeah.
But then Deborah just kind of throws this line out where it's like, you owe me, I know what you are kind of thing. And that's probably the thing that bothers me about, and again, maybe it's just because it's in book form. If I was in the show, when Deborah finds out, there's this whole season of her trying to process it.
Yeah.
You know, because, excuse me, not only did she find out, her adopted brother is a serial killer, but her dad groomed him.
Yeah.
In a way. And, of course, again, she modeled her life.
Over her dad, yeah.
Yeah, because she ended up being an officer because, you know, he thought he believed in truth and justice, but
it
turns out none of these things. So she has, like, a mental crisis, which I think is fair. But, like, in the book, it's, like, not... Maybe I just didn't pick up on it, but, like, it just didn't seem like she gave a shit. You know?
Okay, she's probably
minus that kind of one line. She does kind of mention a couple things now and then, but, like, she doesn't really have, like, a more of a full mental break, unlike in the TV show.
Right.
Just kind of a couple comments here and there. And I guess maybe her dating Kyle is maybe her breakdown.
Maybe.
It's just so gross. So I kind of hope maybe in the next book, or, you know, maybe as the books go on, that's addressed more.
Okay.
Potentially.
Cool.
But that's kind of the only thing that really stood out to me. Although, the other thing that stood out to me before Dexter, which I thought was really funny, There's a scene with Cody, Rita's son, where he takes him fishing, and Cody's described as this very quiet, boy. And as they're taking him fishing, they catch a fish, and then Dexter's looking for something, and then Cody takes a knife and just starts stabbing the fish. And I guess he just like he's like, I really like fishing, and I was like, oh, homeboy is a serial killer in the making.
Ooh.
And then there's this scene where there's a chase, and Deborah and Dexter's car flips over, ends up in I think it's a river or something. So they're like drowning and almost dying, and Dexter has flashes of that, and he goes, oh, I think Cody might have like his own kind of dark passenger. And he's like, the first time in my life I want to live to like help him. Even he's just like, this is very weird. But then he like finds the strength to save him and Deborah, so he can help Cody.
Interesting.
So I am curious, like maybe in the books, as they go, maybe Cody gets older and then they do this together, potentially.
Okay.
And maybe either Dexter turns on him or even Cody turns on him, maybe.
Okay.
But that's my theory. Again, only reading like book 2. So.
Right. Because I was going to ask, like, I wonder how much of, like we had talked about before, how much of the rest of the series now is just kind of like taking bits from the series, or how much did they collaborate together, and how much did the author just want to like take his own route with the story, and so
I am curious too. Like I said, I noticed like in season 2 and book 2, Dokes is tailing Dexter more. The FBI, like Deborah falling in love with like those things, like I noticed right away, again, from the show. So it looks like, again, maybe the show was just taking lightly from the books, and then they just, kind of like you said, maybe revamped Dexter and realized they couldn't continue to follow where the books were going. Yeah. Or again, maybe the author, vice versa. I have not looked super deep into that, but we'll have to see.
Right, because like there's Lila and like all those other things in season 2, the Bay Harbor Butcher incident. So yeah, interesting, cool.
But yeah, it was a longer read than the first one, but it was good.
Yeah.
So,
but it's interesting to get like the differences in like the story in the books and in the show. And it seems like from what you're telling me, for the most part, like both are pretty decent. There's sometimes that where the show's better than the book, or the book's better than the show. So it's cool that these are both kind of like on their own, like really good at the same time.
Yeah. I'm definitely really enjoying it. So I can't wait to dig into the next one, which I guess, from what my coworker said, is very culty.
Ooh.
And talks about how like, excuse me, I guess the first chapter is just drastically different than anything else in the book. Because again, talking about the Dark Passenger being its own entity, I guess that's a big focus in this next book.
Interesting.
Yeah, the Battle of the Dark Passengers. So.
Ooh, so how many books are there in total? Do you know?
God, I feel like I looked this up. I thought it was 14 or 15.
Really?
It could be like, yeah. That's why I was like, oh, maybe I will start reading the books. Because again,
I thought there was only like a few. I didn't realize there was that many.
Right? Because I mean, to be fair, I only ever watched the show.
Yeah.
So when it was like based on Darkly Dreaming Dexter, I almost assumed that was the only book.
Well, I knew that there were at least like 5, but I had no idea that there was like that many.
Right? Because
I know I'd see them all the time at the bookstore, but I didn't know there was that many.
Okay, well, I definitely overshot that by a lot. According to Google, there is 8 books.
8 books, okay.
Still, though, that's quite a bit.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, moving on from books to the new series. Which,
woo-hoo!
Side note, I also noticed it says based on the Dexter books. So again, going back to your theory of like how much did they pull? So I wonder with this new season how much they've now pulled from all the books.
For sure, yeah.
Right? Just that that's just more of an observation I made while watching the show.
Well, and too, like they like all of the producers, the creator, the like Michael C. Hall himself, majority of anyone who was involved on the show was not very happy with how they ended it the last time. So I feel like that would be a good thing to do, is to like pull inspiration from the books to like get kind of like that ending that Dexter deserves kind of thing, I guess. Yeah. Although I'll say before we get into it, Zena did tell me that she read an article, I think somewhere, that the creator of the show, Clyde Phillips, I think is his name.
I think so. I think I remember seeing that in the credits.
Yeah. She said that he's watched all of the new series now. It's all finished, and I guess he cried at the end. So
oh no.
Yeah.
I was gonna say I am not. I already have like some predictions, and I'm just like not ready for any of them
I
to
know.
come
I'm
true.
like, oh, so
right.
Yeah.
I guess, how are you enjoying it? Let's start with that.
Okay,
how are you
okay.
enjoying this first couple episodes?
Well, I'll tell you my reaction to the first episode, because we'll start from there. So me and Zenna and her family got together and we did a watch party because they were the ones who introduced me to the series.
Okay.
So I was
Seems
like,
fitting.
let's do it old school. Like, it's been forever. Let's all watch it together. So that's what we did. And I was nervous at first because I was starting to see, like, and this is just my brain with, like, how, you know, being an editor and seeing things, you start to get nervous when shows start to, like, kind of adapt to what's trendy nowadays. So they start doing, like, the weird text effects and all this kind of stuff. And I guess being such a hardcore fan like we are, you're like, don't change anything about it. It was so good. So I was trying really hard not to be too nitpicky about it. But once I kind of got over that and I was like, okay, like, I'm just gonna, like, watch it through, like, just enjoy it. We'll see where it goes. Yeah, overall it was, I loved it. Like, I like I said, I was a little nervous at first because, like, we weren't sure where the story was going. It's been 10 years since we've seen Dexter, and it's just like he's kind of living, like, this mundane life, kind of like in the books, like you were saying there. And then right at the end when he kills the guy and it's just like, tonight's the night, I was like, yes, he's back, everybody's back. So I was quite excited.
Such a good release,
right? And I love that they still use the same music at the end for the end credits. I love that. I think that's awesome.
I was gonna say, I actually really like they, like, change up the end credits every time depending, like, how the ending goes of the show.
At first I wasn't too sure. Like I said, I was like, oh, but the original, but now I'm like, yeah, that's kind of cool how they have that. I like that it's different.
Right. At the same time, right, like, I think we talked about it before, like, you know, the theme song is so, or the theme sequence is so iconic.
Yeah.
You know, so when they kind of did the intro where it's like the ice and the blood, you know, I was like, oh, we're not gonna do anything fun.
Yeah, we're not gonna throw it back, or
right. That's what I was thinking they were gonna do, but then they kind of do that, like, weird kind of, like, fast recap of the whole episode. And so I was like, you know what, I kind of like that. And then like more, like, getting into, like, watching more episodes, like, I really like it. And at the same time, I think maybe I'm in the same camp where it's like, I don't think they could have, like, made it any better than before.
Yeah.
So I'd rather it's like, yeah, if we're gonna do something new, let's kind of just keep it old, but, like, you know, jazz her up a little bit.
Yeah.
You know?
And I guess too, like, as much as the fans really love that sequence and everything, and just, like, that whole, you know, thing that ties it together, it would, like, I guess as a creator you have to sit there and go, how much is too much, right?
Yeah.
So how much of this is going to make it really corny and, like, throw people off, and, you know, we want to keep people, like, engaged in what's happening right now. So yeah, so
I guess also just thinking now, like, it works obviously for the show because, again, it does these weird, uncomfortable parallels where he's, like, making his breakfast and getting ready. And even though they don't show it, it's, like, implied that it's, like, oh, cutting up humans, tying, choking people.
Yeah.
This, like, weird, disturbing imagery, weird, disturbing feelings it's trying to make you feel, even though it's just kind of, like, everyday things that people do.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, and that's while he was, you know, actively being a serial killer. So, considering, this season, it's all about, oh, I haven't killed anyone in 10 years, and now he accidentally fucks up.
Yeah.
And and so far it looks like it's him just trying to cover up this one mistake, you know, that he's made, and he's like, fuck, I didn't mean to do this kind of thing. And obviously that intro wouldn't really jive now. Yeah. Like, I think if they were going to make one, it would just be him doing his tasks, and it'd just be very boring.
Right? And depending on how the series plays out, too, like, obviously it doesn't sound like there's any plans for the series to continue.
Correct.
But I guess, like, you know, depending on how it plays out, let's say Dexter, you know, ends up going back to Miami and he's going to start killing again. That would be the appropriate time to kind of, like, do that sequence. But I also recall, I think in one of the seasons they did that, where, like, he was having a bit of a tough time and he stopped killing for a while, or something happened.
Right.
And then
the
he, like,
intro was even, like,
it was, like, incorporated into the episode somehow. Yeah. Yeah.
I remember, yeah, because his shoelace like breaks and shit.
Yeah.
Yeah, fuck, I can't remember when that was. Yeah, but it was good. That was good.
Right? I thought that was cool. So like if they wanted to do that, if that's kind of how the story goes, I could see them doing that at the end as kind of just like a nod.
Right.
But it all depends on how the story goes.
Right. Although, I'll just shoot out there when they were at the police station and his girlfriend were like, all these missing women. I immediately thought, I was like, oh, that's going to be what this is about. Dexter's going to find this serial, and that's when he bring him out of hiding, not the whole killing Matt thing, which, I mean, to be fair, like, I would have killed Matt, too. Like, let's be real. He was a douchebag.
Right.
A douchiest of bags. But, obviously, I think it was just this last episode, we kind of got more into potentially, like, why these girls might be going missing, so they kind of have their own serial killer. And now, I don't know about you, but I remember when so just goes on the first episode alone when they showed the girls and Matt was like, my father's gonna come after you. I was like, his dad's the serial killer. 10 out of 10.
Yeah.
But now I'm pretty sure it's the oil tycoon guy.
Yeah.
Even though I'm not sure if they're trying to throw us off. But at the same time, like, I feel it has to be him.
Okay.
But so
I know a spoiler, so I'm not gonna say anything. So.
Oh, okay, good. None of that here. None of that.
None of that. No.
But yeah, I honestly, like, from the first episode, I thought that's kind of what the season was going to lean to, was maybe Dexter comes out of retirement to help this case, but it looks like it might, as of right now, it's kind of like a side thing where Dexter's not quite involved yet. So yeah, especially again, jumping ahead to episode 3, when her daughter, her car breaks down, he comes over. I was like, oh god, no. I was like, he's gonna abduct her broad daylight. I was like, no, he's not gonna do it. It's broad daylight. It's the chief's daughter. Oh my god.
Police chief.
Police chief's daughter. Thank you. And then she mentioned, oh, my friend's up the road. I was like, good girl. You tell me you're not alone. But I do wonder, maybe like she gets captured by him, and maybe Harrison, you know, because right now he still doesn't know what his dad's done, kind of thing. Maybe that's how Dexter gets involved, because obviously Harrison really likes her. Maybe that's how he gets involved.
Yeah.
Or maybe it's just a side story who hasn't, although I feel like I was going to say has nothing to do with it, but I highly doubt that. I'm sure.
Yeah, who knows?
It will play in somehow.
Yeah, who knows? Who knows? Well, because there was 3 things I wanted to mention.
Okay.
And I think two of them are questions to you as well.
Okay.
But the first one I wanted to note is just like something I really appreciated and thought was really cool about the first episode was I kind of initiated it already, was like knowing that like pretty much up until Dexter kills Matt, there's no voiceover.
Yeah.
So I like how that plays out, because if you kind of understand why his voiceover is there, that's his dark passenger speaking sort of thing, right? So it's kind of cool that, like, you know, he's normal, everything's fine, and it kind of gives you that nervous feeling throughout the whole episode, because like I said, we haven't seen Dexter for 10 years. We don't know what he's been up to. So you're nervous. You're going, is he normal? Like, this is it? Like, this is how it's gonna be? Like, oh god, I don't know if I'm gonna like this. And then, you know, that happens, and it's like, here comes the voice back, and that's what makes it just such, like, everybody go, yeah, like, oh, so.
I remember watching the first episode, I'm like, I thought of you immediately, because I remember when we were talking about, like, the finale so many years ago, you had mentioned, you were like, oh yeah, his voiceovers are slowly disappearing, and I was like, oh yeah, and then the very end, it's silent, so having this start out silent, I thought, real nice touch.
I love when they do subtle little things like that. It's just awesome. Yeah, so the 2 more things. So the second one I wanted to mention was about Deb being kind of his new Harry.
Yes. Oscars.
Right?
Give her all the Oscars.
But I thought what was kind of cool, like at first I wasn't too sure about how she was treating him, because we're so used to seeing Deb as Deb, right? She's this like loudmouth, kind of potty mouth police officer, right? And so to try to, like, understand her as being his inner voice, and it's not so much actually Deb talking to him, it's him as Deb talking to himself, sort of thing. And so at first I wasn't too sure about, like, how, you know, the exchange was going between the two. But then, like, this last episode where she's talking to him in the truck, and she's like, I know what you can do to him, and then just throws the body parts into the wood chipper. That was hilarious.
as blood's being splayed in his car, and he's like, not very subtle, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah. I like her. Yeah, I really like it, honestly. Like, when it came on screen, I was like, hell yeah, let's do this. I like it how she's very different than Harry.
Yeah.
I think Harry was, again, because he was like, I think he represented the code.
Yeah.
So I think that was what Dexter was manifesting in his mind, was this was the code.
This is the code. Harry. Yeah. And being the father figure, that he was kind of like doing it in a fatherly way.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think even in later seasons, you know, again, he kind of cracks because, you know, he finds out more about Harry, about how, especially in season 2, when he finds out that Dexter's mom was an informant of Harry's, and that he is actually Harry's son.
Mm-hmm.
What are words? But whereas, like, I think Deb is a weird mix of, like, his guilt, right? So that entire first episode where she's like, oh, you're doing so good, you know. He's like, you're doing really good. And he's just like, yeah. Like, this manifestation of, like, his guilt he feels. And then, of course, when he kills Matt, she kind of goes, like, a little bit, again, maybe back to her sister. But, again, like, this blaming, again, like, his guilt. Yeah. Being like, you can't have Harrison here. You can't do this. You can't do that. Mm-hmm. But it seems like he's like, what are words? Again, Harry was like this code for him, but like Deb's like this clearly mental block for him, because there's that scene in the truck where he's just sitting there, and then I think it was a student, or maybe it was the teacher, just smoking a joint, and she was like, peace, man. And he's like, it's like, this is clearly like his inner turmoil within him. But like, I love it.
No, I love it too. I was
a little spoiled with the wood chipper and the scene where she like pulls his mouth back and puts the bullet in his mouth.
Oh yeah.
Because I think I followed the show on Facebook, so they showed a storyboard of that happening.
Oh, okay.
So I was like, oh, that's kind of cool. And then they mentioned, there was just a random picture, but they mentioned something with a Deb and a wood chipper. I was like, what? That's kind of weird.
Yeah.
But yeah, I dig it.
Me too. And like we were saying, like Harry was kind of the fatherly figure, so it's cool that this is like the sibling. I like that they still kind of like, you can still see those instances of like they have their sibling connection, because she'll like talk to him like it is Deb talking to him, sort of thing.
I also like that she's more aggressive than Harry ever was.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, like, no, I think it makes 100% total sense what you said, like, where he's kind of like, she's this mental block for him, and so it's just kind of like this nagging voice in your ear going like, what the fuck are you doing? Don't do that. Don't do that. Yeah. So it's like, it's kind of like the angel and the devil on the shoulder. The devil's the dark passenger. Deb's trying to be like the angel, but she's like, don't do it. Like, she's just really, really annoying and stuff. When you were saying how she's like, you know, kind of freaking out and stuff like that, it also kind of reminds me of, I think it was in season 1 or 2, probably season 2, when Dexter kind of has that like struggle of what's gonna happen if Deb finds out if that I'm the Bay Harbor Butcher, and so he kind of like plays through his mind like him telling her and the different reactions she has. So they kind of reminded me of that too, being like, that's like, obviously, you know, that's not Deb, that's him assuming what Deb's gonna do, sort of thing. So that's what kind of reminded me of this, is like, it's not really Deb, it's his mind as Deb coming back to him, sort of thing. Yeah.
What was my thought? But yeah, any predictions where you think the show is gonna go? Again, we did mention that this potentially might only be the only season.
Yes. Which actually brings me to my third point that I was gonna ask you about too. So yes, I can see some instances where Harrison might be passed the torch, because like you were mentioning about the books, it seems like Dexter and Cody might, you know, he looks like he might be bringing Cody under his wing. So I wonder if maybe they kind of pulled a little bit of that from with Harrison.
Again, I'm also wondering if they're trying to throw us off.
Yeah, exactly. Right?
I am wondering.
Because Harrison, out of the 3 episodes we've seen so far, Harrison's extremely smart. Like, almost disturbingly smart. I can see so much, like, of Dexter in him.
Mm-hmm.
And I loved the scene when he like grabs the guy's throat and just kind of
yeah.
snaps a little bit. I'm like, ooh, that's like so Dexter right there.
Mm-hmm.
Like so old school Dexter.
But there's other times where it's like, oh, he's not, and you're like,
right? Yeah. So how much of it? Because like it's just so interesting. Like if you could almost watch Harrison and pretend like he's got like a dark passenger narrating his thoughts too, it's almost exactly like everything he does, his reactions, his responses. It's very Dexter.
Oh, I'm also like really worried about that other kid at school. He is clearly going to murder everyone.
So that's the other thing too.
That was very uncomfortable.
Right?
Oh, I made these drawings, and I don't know why I assumed they were gonna be good drawings.
Right?
And then they show them, and I was like, oh, what the fuck?
Right? So that's the other thing too, is it's like, how much of it is gonna be this kid's gonna go, like he's gonna snap and he's gonna be the one to kill people, and Harrison's gonna have to deal with that, or how much of it is like Harrison, like this is just feeding Harrison's kind of like dark side, right?
Because again, when he saw those pictures, it wasn't like he was super gleeful, but he also wasn't like, I don't know, as the viewer, I would have been like, dude, what the fuck? You need some help. Like he seemed a little like okay.
Yeah, he seemed a little satisfied by them,
right? He was kind of just like, oh man.
Yeah.
Well, he makes that one line, he's like, oh, you think you're like the Punisher or something? And I was like, that's all you got from that?
Yeah.
I was like, I got that like everyone's dead.
Right.
Like, what are you, right? So there's obviously that issue happening. At the same time, there's these missing girls. Like I said, maybe Police Chief's daughter gets taken with that. Again, maybe these are all tests. But again, I'm wondering if the show's trying to throw us through a loop.
Right.
Thinking of those things. So that's why, like I said, for the books, like my prediction is either maybe Cody kills Dexter. So maybe he finds out in the show, maybe Harrison finds out who Dexter truly is.
Yes.
And kills him.
And then that it just kind of the roles reversed. Yep.
Because that's where I'm thinking somebody's dying, you know? And again, this only being, they seem, like you said, it seemed to this is the only season.
Right.
So I feel like either Dexter's dying or Harrison's dying.
Right.
Or hell, maybe both.
And just going for like a logical sense of things, this could be completely wrong, but it's like we're already 3 episodes in.
Mm-hmm.
There's maybe what?
7
episodes. Yeah, there's 7 episodes left.
7? Oh god, this is gonna be
like a lot can still happen.
Yes, it's gonna be a trip.
But just based off the pace they're going at right now, like it's looking like it's not good for Dexter. It's looking like this is like, and it makes sense too, because I mean we wanted to bring him back just to kind of give him the ending he deserved. So it's looking like it's not gonna be good for Dexter. Things aren't gonna look good for Dexter. But that being said, yeah, it's like, is Harrison gonna, take on the role? Is he gonna just like, justify what he thinks is right by killing his dad and everything he's done? Xena also threw out there, did he kill Hannah?
Oh.
Because she was thinking too, she's like, if Hannah was sick and dying,
that was a hard scene, yeah.
Right? She's like, if Hannah was sick and dying, wouldn't she have like reached out to Dexter to tell him that so that Harrison wouldn't be alone? And there was a letter, right?
But I guess the thing is, though, if Dexter wants to stay off the grid, he's not going to be telling Hannah where he is.
True, right? So
because Harrison had to do that long quest to find him.
Right. It could be a far-fetched guess, but it's like, oh,
I
okay.
think it is a good thing to consider.
Yeah.
That scene was also like when Dexter was like, shit, Hannah was dead. Like, obviously all that was very hard to hear and stuff like that. And also Harrison just nonchalantly was like, oh yeah, I don't do drugs. I had a pretty hard drug problem. I'm like, what?
Yeah.
But I mean, like, shit happens, I guess. But holy shit. I guess the only reason I don't want that to be true, because then we're just bringing up the theory that he has his own dark passenger.
Which honestly makes sense, because like based off of what we know from the show before and through Dexter, so like Dexter got his dark passenger through the traumatic experience he had as a child.
Yes.
Harrison also went through a traumatic experience as a child. And that's the other thing I wanted to know too, is how like, does Harrison know how Rita died?
Right? I'm getting the impression he might not, like, maybe not know the full details, but he knows that she was murdered. Or maybe, like, it's a thing where it's like, oh, your mother died, but kind of like Dexter, how he was having flashbacks as a kid in the container by himself. Maybe he's kind of having his own flashes of his mom in the tub and him crying.
Right.
You know, because I think as children, you still pick up like those obviously, like, maybe you don't remember it detail for detail, but you just remember like the feelings of everything that happened. So it is possible he just knows that.
Right. And that's why I also want to go back and finish watching the series too, because I want to know, like, it's been so long. I want to know how much Harrison as a baby through those few seasons we see him grow up, how much does he recall? How many instances do we see of him as a child having like, are there any red flags there that, because I don't remember, so I have to like see if there's any red flags back then, which would help kind of confirm this assumption.
Right.
So
I remember there's a couple episodes where Dexter obviously has that fear.
Yeah.
A couple times. But yeah, I don't remember like specific instances.
Not that I can recall either, no.
Right? So we'll have to see. But yeah, that's kind of like my predictions, is that one of them's dying, or hell, maybe both die. But I feel like that might be too similar to like the ending of the show, where he thought he could have both things. He could have Deborah in his life and still be a killer, I guess. But then obviously Deborah dies and he kind of just goes off the deep end. So I want, because right now he's like, oh, I really like being a dad.
Yeah.
So I think having Harrison be the one dying at the end and Dexter living might be too similar to that ending of the show, which I don't think would be as satisfying.
Yeah.
Because then it'd be like pretty much repeating itself, whereas Dexter's learning again the same lesson where he can't have both things.
Yeah, exactly.
You know? So yeah, either he tries to let Harrison in, Harrison, maybe, as you said, maybe he takes the torch, or maybe he doesn't, and he's like, what the hell? Oh, maybe that's what it is. Maybe he finds out, again, there's still 7 episodes, but maybe he finds out that because of the Trinity Killer and because of his dad, that is how his mom died, was because of the actions of his father. So he kills Dexter.
That's my first prediction.
Put that on the table.
That's my first prediction of it all. There's a few that like I could see. Oh, sorry. Okay, I'm open to other possibilities of how it ends too. Because I have total faith that they're gonna do it justice. You know, clearly everybody's on the same page here, that it wasn't ended the way it should have. So I have faith that it's gonna end in a good way. It's gonna, you know, kind of tie everything up. But yes, that is my number one. Prediction is how it's gonna go. Yeah,
someone's dying. Bottom line.
Yeah.
Although I guess the last thing, because again, speaking, there's more 7 episodes. With the end of this last one, right? Kyle's father, who I briefly mentioned, he was really pushing to have the search party keep going. He's a real asshole to the chief of police because he an asshole. You know, but at the end of the episode, he is drunk, being like, oh, Matt called. We FaceTimed. And Dexter's like, what the fuck? You clearly, like, I just burnt your son in some sort of, like, factory.
Yep.
He is not alive. So I think now that's the new mystery, is like, why is he lying?
Why is he lying? Yep.
To be fair, he is just drunk. So I'm more curious if by the next episode, if he... again, maybe tells the chief of police and see where that goes, or again, maybe he's lying to both parties. I don't really know. So I don't really know what his deal is yet, and I hope the oil tycoon guy dies because he is But yeah, so far I'm liking everything.
Yes.
Everyone's doing a great job acting wise. Really good.
Yes. They're keeping the spirit of Dexter alive, which is ultimately what I was hoping for the most. I didn't want them to, like, you know, just completely throw away everything from the past and start anew and, you know, just have it be really bad. But no, I think they're doing really good.
I guess, yeah. And really, to be fair, I wouldn't want this to continue. I wouldn't want this to be kind of a one and done thing.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe the way they end it, maybe, but like, I feel with all the I don't think I've talked about this much on the podcast, but maybe I'm wrong. But CSI just got its reboot as well. CSI Las Vegas. And so they have this kind of mashup of there's Kristen and Sarah, and Brass is there, and so is one of the old lab techs. I'm blanking on his name right now. Anyways, it's one of the laptop guys. As part of the season, like, he's a person of interest in the kind of the overall case.
Okay.
I think it too also is only gonna have like maybe 10 or 15 episodes, but like they have these new characters, so they're trying to blend like both things together. So I am curious if like the reason, maybe not the big reason, but obviously to get people to come watch the show again, you bring back the old cast,
right?
But then I don't know if it has plans to continue forward.
Yeah.
You know, so I'm wondering if, like, part of it's, like, if we bring these old cast members, then we can slowly introduce these new ones, so then when we do a full reboot of the show, it's not a complete alarming thing to fans. Like, they've now been adjusted to it.
Right.
You know, and again, maybe if Harrison takes up the torch, you know, it could be a soft reboot. Maybe he goes to Miami, or he just travels around and kills people. Yeah. You know? As a weird, again, soft reboot, but
at the same time, too, like, and this is just, like, coming from a story perspective, like, I understand everyone loves the opportunity to make more shows and continue the story on and stuff like that, but sometimes the best thing to do is just let a story lie and let the imagination of the viewers kind of, like, take the rest of it on, because then you're just kind of you're leaving it up to your own imagination what happens, right? And it adds more discussion that way for people, and everybody kind of gets different perspectives. I don't necessarily, this is just my personal opinion, I don't necessarily need to see the physical proof of what Harrison does, or like what anybody does after the show ends, kind of thing. Like, if they kind of insinuate where, like, what path they're taking on after the show ends, then that's enough for me. I'm like, okay, yeah, so he's probably this and that and the other thing. I don't need to, like, you know, continue down the path and see what happens.
Agreed.
Yeah.
But I guess time will tell. I think I Googled because I was just curious, but I think it'll wrap up in December. I think one of the last episodes is just a couple days before my birthday.
Ooh, nice.
So yeah, it's gonna be going well into the new year. Yeah. So we'll just have to see how that goes.
Yeah. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this episode. If you're big Dexter fans like we are, maybe we'll do like another episode.
I think we should do a wrap up.
Yeah.
It probably won't be till the new year, but I think we should do a wrap up episode, and I'll try to maybe read another book.
Sure. Yeah, we'll do that. So once the series finished, we'll do like a wrap up episode of like how we feel after seeing these, or, you know, having these predictions and stuff like that. And let us know in the comments below what you guys think. Yeah, right?
I'm down. I don't need anybody else. I'm down. Let's do it.
Yeah, let's do it. But yeah, let us know in the comments below if you guys are fans of the show. Let us know what you think of the show. What are your predictions? Where do you think the story is gonna go? Give this episode a like if you enjoyed it, and subscribe to Cinema Gals for more shenanigans and fun and laughs and movies.
Alrighty. Until next Tuesday, guys. Have a happy Tuesday. Watch all the content and have a good one. Bye bye.
Bye bye.
Monkey. And slay.